You think psychedelics will free you, but most of the time, you're not looking for freedom. You're looking for relief. And relief is not the same thing as truth. You think one big experience will heal what years of avoidance built. But if you go into that world trying to escape yourself, you usually come back with the same life, the same patterns, and a new story to hide inside. Listen carefully. If you're the kind of man who needs reminders, who needs truth when your mind starts negotiating with your weakness, subscribe now. Not because I need a number, because you need a voice that pulls you back to what is real when your emotions start dressing fantasy up as wisdom. You need that reminder. You need that interruption. You need that straight line. Here's what it really means. Psychedelics do not automatically make you deeper. They do not automatically make you wiser. They do not automatically make you healed. What they often do is reveal. They reveal what you run from, what you worship, what you fear, what you fake, what you avoid, what you know, but refuse to act on. That's why some people come back quieter, stronger, more honest. And that's why others come back more confused, more inflated, more scattered, more addicted to the feeling of revelation than the discipline of transformation. That difference matters. Because the misconception is simple. You think the experience is the change. It isn't. The experience is exposure. The change is what you do after. The hard truth is that most people don't actually want revelation. They want permission. Permission to feel special. Permission to feel spiritual without becoming disciplined. Permission to say they saw the truth without having to live it on an ordinary Tuesday when no music is playing, no medicine is kicking in, and nobody is watching. That's called self-deception. And it happens because your ego is smarter than your excuses. Your ego knows how to survive. It knows how to wear new clothes. It knows how to take ancient language, mystical language, healing language, and use it to protect the same fragile identity. It says, I'm awakening. Hakinachitapi fayer inarachien. But are you becoming reliable? It says, I'm expanding my consciousness. One sati, one and die. But are you more honest with the people in your life? It says, I've transcended the old me. But are you still late, impulsive, resentful, needy, distracted, inconsistent? Then what exactly did you transcend? You didn't become free. You became impressed with your own inner cinema. And I'm telling you this because I learned the difference the hard way, not from theory, from collision, from seeing how easy it is to confuse intensity with progress. A powerful night can shake you. It can crack your armor. It can humble you. It can put you face to face with grief you buried, fear you denied, love you didn't know how to receive, rage you disguised as indifference. It can do all of that. But the next morning is where the truth starts. The next conversation, the next decision, the next temptation, the next moment when you can either become simpler, cleaner, more grounded, or run back into performance. That's the real test. Because what's the root cause underneath all this? Most men are disconnected from themselves long before they ever touch anything that alters consciousness. They live in noise, constant noise, validation, comparison, achievement theater, sedation, porn, weed, alcohol, attention, scrolling, chasing women they don't even respect to prove something to men they don't even like. They call it life. They call it normal. They call it stress relief. But underneath it is one thing. They do not want to be alone with themselves in silence long enough to hear what their life is actually saying. So when a psychedelic experience rips the volume down and forces a man into direct contact with his own inner world, it can feel like God broke into the room. It can feel like destiny. It can feel like pure revelation. But sometimes what he's really feeling is simple, brutal contrast. For the first time in years, he is no longer fully defended against himself. He is no longer distracted enough to keep the truth blurry. He is no longer protected by routine lies. And because that level of honesty feels so rare, he mistakes rarity for magic. But truth was always there. You just stop running. You stop numbing. You stop performing. You stop seducing yourself with distractions. You stop pretending you don't know. You stop pretending tomorrow is guaranteed. You stop pretending your wounds make your choices inevitable. And that moment is priceless if you respect it. But if you don't, it becomes another drug story, another identity, another costume, another excuse to avoid the boring, masculine work of integration. Clean your life up. Tell the truth. End what needs to end. Start what needs to start. Make your room reflect your mind. Make your schedule reflect your values. Make your habits reflect your standards. Make your relationships reflect your self-respect. That is where the vision either becomes flesh or dies as a memory. A lot of men don't want to hear that because discipline feels less glamorous than transcendence. But discipline is the proof, not your words, not your tears, not your cosmic language, not the way you describe energy and vibration and ego death over coffee while your actual life remains weak, disordered, and dependent. Let me say it even cleaner. If the experience made you softer with the truth, but stronger in your standards, it helped you. If it made you more grandiose, more unstable, more convinced that feeling deeply is the same thing as living correctly, it exposed you. That exposure can still save you, but only if you stop romanticizing what happened and start respecting what it showed. Because there is a cost to getting this wrong. The cost is not just confusion. The cost is years. Years of chasing peaks instead of building a life. Years of collecting insights you never embody. Years of becoming emotionally articulate, but practically useless. Years of talking about surrender while refusing responsibility. Years of needing extraordinary states just to access basic honesty. Years of becoming a tourist in your own soul. And the ugliest cost? You start outsourcing authority, you stop trusting clear action, and start worshiping altered states. You stop asking, what is true? And start asking, what feels profound? And those are not the same question. One builds a man. The other hypnotizes him. Reality versus fantasy. Structure versus chaos. Embodiment versus performance. Self-respect versus self-indulgence. Presence versus noise. Choose. Because life does not reward the man who had the deepest experience. Life rewards the man who can carry truth without needing drama. The man who can feel without collapsing. The man who can see without exaggerating. The man who can change without advertising it. The man who can touch something vast and still come home, wash his face, pay his bills, protect his peace, keep his word, and love people without turning every insight into a speech about himself. That's a grounded man. And that is the reframe. Psychedelics, at their best, are not an identity. They are a mirror. Maybe a brutal one, maybe a beautiful one, maybe both in the same hour. But a mirror does not deserve worship. A mirror deserves use. You look, you see, you adjust. Then you walk forward differently. If you keep staring at the mirror instead of changing your life, that's called fixation. If you keep returning to the mirror because you still refuse to act on what it showed you, that's called avoidance in spiritual clothing. And you need to understand something even deeper. A lot of what men call healing is really emotional permission without structural change. They cry, they remember, they release, they feel fine, good, necessary sometimes. But then what? Are you less reactive? Are you more accountable? Are you harder to manipulate? Are you clearer with women? Are you more honest with your family? Are you more disciplined with your body? Are you more devoted to your craft? Are you more capable of sitting in ordinary life without craving an escape hatch every time discomfort arrives? That is healing. Not just feeling, not just insight, not just catharsis. Alignment. A man with no alignment becomes dangerous to himself. He starts believing every strong feeling is instruction. He starts mistaking emotional intensity for divine guidance. He starts following impulses because they arrived wrapped in symbolism. That's how people blow up relationships, careers, reputations, and years of momentum while calling it authenticity. No. Authenticity is not indulgence. Authenticity is congruence. It is when what you know, what you say, what you choose, and how you live stop contradicting each other. That's real power. Quiet power. Expensive power. The kind you earn by refusing to lie to yourself when the lie would be more comfortable. And that brings me to the part most people avoid. Why are so many men drawn to experiences that shatter the walls of the mind in the first place? Because the ordinary self often feels unbearable. Not because it is evil, because it is unresolved. There are old humiliations in there, old grief, old father wounds. Old rejections, old fears of being average, unseen, unwanted, weak, powerless, insignificant. So the man reaches for something bigger than himself because he is tired of living as someone smaller than he knows he could be. That impulse is not pathetic. It is human. but it becomes pathetic when he keeps reaching without building, when he keeps opening himself without stabilizing himself, when he wants revelation without responsibility, expansion without containment, power without order, depth without standards. And then he wonders why he feels spiritually raw, but practically broken. You do not need to be ashamed of wanting more. You do not need to be ashamed of wanting to feel life directly, intensely, truthfully. But you do need to be honest about your motive. Are you trying to know yourself or escape yourself? Are you trying to become free or just temporarily unburdened? Are you pursuing truth or just a more interesting form of avoidance? Only you know. And if you're honest, really honest, you already know the answer before the question is finished, because your life tells on you. If the thing you keep doing leaves you less stable, less clear, less disciplined, less trustworthy, less anchored, less capable of love and work and restraint, then stop dressing it up. Stop making it poetic. Stop making it sacred just because it was intense. Not everything that breaks you open is good for you. Not everything that feels vast is wise. Not everything that dissolves your boundaries deserves access to your mind. Self-respect means discernment. And discernment is not fear. It is not prudishness. It is not denial. It is the ability to say, I know what this is. I know what this does to me. I know whether I am using it or being used by it. That's adulthood. That's masculine clarity, not compulsive rejection, not compulsive indulgence. Command. The man you should become is not anti-experience. He is not rigid. He is not dead inside. He is not numb and pretending that's strength. He is not a robot. He is not some hollow productivity machine who fears mystery because mystery cannot be controlled. No, the man is open but not porous, deep but not drowning. Feeling, but not flimsy. Spiritual, but not suggestible. Strong, but not hardened into arrogance. He has boundaries. He has purpose. He has a center. He can enter unusual experiences without abandoning his values because his values are not decorations. They are structure. They are spine. They are home. Look at that man closely. He does not chase every doorway just because it glows. He does not kneel to every voice that sounds ancient. He does not confuse collapse with surrender. He does not call chaos freedom. He does not need to announce that he is evolving. You can see it in the way he speaks. You can feel it in the way he listens. You can trust it in the way he leaves a room cleaner than he found it. He knows how to sit still. He knows how to train his body. He knows how to master his tongue. He knows how to say no without guilt and yes without hesitation. He is not controlled by appetite, not by lust, not by novelty, not by fear of missing out, not by the hunger to be seen as profound. He does not need a chemical doorway to access conscience. He does not need intensity to access sincerity. And if he chooses to enter any altered state, he does not do it like a boy chasing fireworks. He does it with reverence, caution, context, and the willingness to walk away if it no longer serves truth. That is self-respect. And self-respect changes everything because once you have it, you stop asking, how far can I go? And start asking, what preserves my clarity? You stop asking, what can I get away with? And start asking, what strengthens my center? You stop chasing the most thrilling life and start building the most honest one. That doesn't make life smaller. It makes it real. You know what weakens a man? Not pain, not grief, not even fear. What weakens a man is inner division, saying one thing, doing another, wanting one life, and feeding another, knowing better, choosing lower, feeling called upward, then bargaining downward because change threatens the comfort of who he has been. That fracture drains you more than struggle ever could. And a lot of these experiences, especially the powerful ones, force you to feel that fracture. They show you the split between your image and your truth, between your potential and your habits, between the love you say you want and the ways you sabotage intimacy, between the freedom you talk about and the cravings that quietly own you. That can be a gift if you let it sober you. But if you turn it into theater, if you turn it into a personality, if you make it another reason to believe you are exceptional while refusing ordinary discipline, then the gift curdles. So what do? You simplify. You stop looking for a final dramatic answer and start collecting honest, repeatable actions. You get more sleep. You eat like your mind matters. You train your body until you remember what effort feels like. You remove what keeps you blurred. You reduce the noise. You clean up your inputs. You tell one difficult truth you've been avoiding, then another, then another. You stop texting people who drain your dignity. You stop entering rooms where you have to betray yourself to belong. You stop romanticizing your instability. You stop letting your wounds sit in the driver's seat while you call the crash destiny. Do this. Sit alone in silence without reaching for your phone. Let your mind twitch. Good. Watch it. That twitch is dependency. That twitch is training. That twitch is the part of you that cannot stand unfiltered contact with your own life. Stay there. Do this. Write down the 3 truths you keep circling, but refuse to obey. Not the poetic truths. The practical ones. The call you need to make. The habit you need to kill. The boundary you need to set. The grief you need to admit. The addiction you need to name. The apology you need to give. The person you need to leave. The standard you need to raise. Do this. Pick one behavior that makes you smaller and cut it off cleanly, not gradually, not eventually, cleanly, because some patterns do not need negotiation. They need burial. Do this. Build a life that does not require constant escape. Build mornings you respect. Build work you can stand behind. Build a body that holds tension without panic. Build friendships where truth is normal. Build a relationship with yourself that does not collapse the moment you are alone. Stop this. Stop glorifying confusion because it feels deep. Stop collecting labels for your inner life instead of changing your outer life. Stop using spiritual language to avoid plain language. Stop saying you're processing when you are procrastinating. Stop saying you're integrating when you are delaying action. Stop saying you're called to slow down when you are afraid to commit. Stop saying I'm just in a season if that season has become your permanent excuse. Redirect. What I see. Redirect your hunger for transcendence into mastery. Redirect your sensitivity into discernment. Redirect your longing for freedom into self-command. Redirect your craving for revelation into daily honesty. Redirect your pain into standards. Redirect your shame into responsibility. Redirect your intensity into purpose. That is how you become dangerous in the right way. Not dangerous because you are reckless. Dangerous because you are no longer easily seduced. Dangerous because you can see through your own performance. Dangerous because pleasure cannot bribe you and pain cannot easily bend you. Dangerous because once you recognize truth, you stop negotiating with the parts of yourself that want to stay asleep. Some of you are waiting for one more breakthrough, one more ceremony, one more weekend, one more intense conversation, one more dark night, one more sign, but you don't need one more sign. You need one clean decision. 1, to stop betraying what you already know. That is where your power is bleeding, not from lack of knowledge. From lack of obedience to the knowledge you already have. Read that again in your mind if you have to. Most people do not suffer because truth is hidden. They suffer because truth is expensive. Truth costs your image. Truth costs your excuses. Truth costs your attachments to who you have been. Truth costs the identity that was built around your wounds. Truth costs the comfort of being almost ready. So truth costs the fantasy that some future version of you will magically become disciplined without today's version of you making any sacrifices. That future man is built now, or he is never built. And this is where everything turns. Because once you understand that no experience can live your life for you, you get your power back. Once you understand that no insight can substitute for alignment, you stop worshiping moments and start building character. Once you understand that the real miracle is not what you saw, but what you become, you stop chasing the ceiling and start reinforcing the floor. And when the floor is strong, your mind gets clearer. Your emotions get cleaner. Your relationships get more honest. Your work gets sharper. Your standards stop shaking every time desire makes an argument. This is maturity, not the death of wonder, the disciplining of wonder, not the rejection of mystery, the containment of mystery inside a life that can actually hold it. Because without containment, even beauty can destabilize you. Even truth can scatter you. Even revelation can become a form of vanity. I want more for you than that. I want you to become a man who can encounter depth without becoming addicted to depth as an identity. A man who can face his darkness without becoming romantic about it. A man who can feel awe and still remain anchored. A man who can receive insight and immediately ask, good. What do I change by Tuesday? That question will save you. That question cuts through delusion. That question forces translation. Because if it changes nothing, then you probably didn't honor it. You consumed it. And consumption is the disease of this age. People consume advice, consume therapy language, consume spiritual experiences, consume motivation, consume content, consume personalities, consume healing as entertainment. But transformation begins when consumption ends and construction begins. When you stop asking, what else can I feel? And start asking, what can I build that reflects what I know? When I wonder and build restraint. Build focus, build honesty, build patience, build a body that can carry stress, build a nervous system that does not need emergency to feel alive, build a reputation with yourself, build a word that means something when you speak it. Because when a man loses trust in himself, everything gets contaminated. His confidence becomes performance. His ambition becomes compensation. His relationships become extraction. His pleasure becomes medication. His freedom becomes chaos. But when a man rebuilds trust with himself, everything starts to align. He says less and means more. He promises less and delivers more. He desires cleanly. He chooses deliberately. He walks lighter because there are fewer internal lies to carry. That is peace, not numbness, not sedation, not permanent bliss. Peace, the kind that comes when your life is no longer at war with your conscience. And that peace is available to you, but not through endless searching, through honest reduction, less pretending, less escaping, less explaining, more responsibility, more stillness, more standards, way more reality. So if your experience with psychedelics or any intense doorway brought you closer to that, honor it by becoming simpler, become truer, become more stable, become more useful. Become less impressed with your feelings and more devoted to your principles. Let the experience humble you, not inflate you. Let it refine you, not define you. Let it point, not possess. And if it exposed that you've been using intensity to avoid discipline, good. That means the lie is cornered now. That means you don't have to keep living split in half. That means you can stop pretending your next breakthrough is going to save you from the work your current life is demanding. The answer is not hiding in another peak. The answer is waiting in your habits, your boundaries, your courage, your restraint, your willingness to act without applause. You are not weak for having searched. You are weak only if you refuse to learn. You are not broken for having needed a mirror. You stay broken only if you worship the mirror instead of changing the man. You are not behind because you got lost. You stay behind only if you make a home out of confusion. Stand up in your own life. Return to basics. Return to standards. Return to silence. Return to your body. Return to your word. Return to the people and practices that make you more honest, not more intoxicated with yourself. Let other people chase spectacle. Let other people confuse chaos with depth. Let other people build identities out of altered states. You build substance. You build integrity. You build a life so clean that truth does not need to break in violently just to get your attention. Because in the end, that is the goal. Not one unforgettable night. A life you don't need to escape. A mind you don't fear being alone with. A conscience you no longer have to silence. A self-respect so solid that every choice starts passing through one question. Does this strengthen the man or weaken him? Ask that. Keep asking it. And when you do, you'll stop looking outside yourself for someone to rescue you from your contradictions. You'll stop waiting for the next sign, the next feeling, the next permission slip. You'll realize something most people spend years avoiding. You are the answer, not your image, not your story, not your pain, not your peak experiences. You, the man who chooses, the man who acts, the man who can tell the truth and live it. That man has been there the whole time, beneath the noise, beneath the fear, beneath the craving to disappear into something bigger because you were afraid to become bigger yourself. become him now. And if you want more of this kind of truth, more clarity when your mind gets foggy, more reminders that cut through the excuses and pull you back to center, subscribe. Not for entertainment. That's for alignment. For those moments when you need to hear what's real before you drift back into fantasy. Stay close to people who respect your highest self more than your favorite excuses. Stay with this community if you're serious about becoming stronger, cleaner, clearer, and more grounded. You do not need another illusion. You need truth, discipline, and men who are done lying to themselves.